Hello and welcome back to Rchversity. I've had the absolute privilege to visit some of our most beautiful forests and reserves in India. Here are 5 tips that I think will be helpful for you. Tip number 1. Plan in advance. Forest safaris are now increasingly competitive and crowded because there's more awareness, more appreciation, and dare I say it, there's also a bit of a glamour involved. Now there's a very narrow window during the year. You cannot visit any or most of the forest reserves and parks are closed during the monsoon season. And then when they open, typically you can visit them from November till May. I don't recommend trying to book safaris during December, January or May because these are peak tourist seasons. Prices are typically very high and tickets sell out in minutes. If you avoid those seasons, then you can definitely plan your trip very nicely. The other advantage is today you have Gemini and Copilot. So just ask it to help you out with the itinerary. You can customize it to your liking. Everyone wants to be in the core zones all the time, but I recommend that you try to mix and match. Add some buffer zones in as well for variety. There's also the advantage that sometimes I've seen that you get good sightings in the buffer zones because the animals are perhaps concerned or alarmed by the crowd of tourists in the core zones, and they sometimes get pushed to the buffer zones. And now because buffer zone tickets are usually not so much in demand like the core zone areas, you'll usually find them even at short notice. But at the very least, I would recommend that you plan your trip 45 to 60 days in advance so that it helps you out with the booking. And when you're booking your permits, book through the official government websites as much as you can. The prices are reasonable, you're guaranteed an entry. If you try to book through third-party agents or through hotels, usually those cost you twice or 3 times as much. Hey, are you like me? Do you get confused sometimes? Do you think like, should I go with mirrorless or do I stick with my DSLR? Good question. In the future, I'm going to make a series of videos where I'll show you some of my favorite images which I've shot with the Nikon D610, and then I'll also show you some of the images that I've shot with my current camera, the Nikon Z52. Stay tuned for more videos from the Rchversity. Back to my original video now. Enjoy the forest. It sounds like such a simple thing, you'd be like, what's so great about it? But trust me, enjoy the forest. A visit to the forest is a visit to a place which we don't get to experience in our cities anymore. Feel that fresh air, feel what that cool air feels like. Smell the flowers or take in all these scents that are very unfamiliar to us nowadays. Soak in that silence of that forest where you don't have mobile phones ringing. You can listen to the chirping of the insects, the birds, which you barely even see in the cities anymore. There's so much to see and experience in a forest. Consider a tiger sighting a blessing. If you get it, it's fine. If you don't get it, that's okay. But your main purpose should be to experience whatever the forest offers you during your visit. And don't be herby bored. I know a lot of people, they just skim or they avoid looking at the deer or the nilgais. But trust me, like, these animals are magnificent. They have such nice social behavior. They are so fun to observe. They're usually twitchy, they're nervous. So they're always in the moment. Like with tigers, most often when I've spotted tigers, they're usually lazing after a meal. They don't move, they are just static. Herbivores are not like that. They're mostly on the move, they're alert and they keep moving around. Deers with antlers, I've seen Barasingas, fight during the mating season, etc. Those are very memorable moments. So don't underestimate. Birds are another favorite of mine. There's so much variety of colors. There's so much active, energetic. So there's something to enjoy always. So be in the moment, and for heaven's sake, please do not experience a forest by looking at it through your cell phone or looking through the camera all the time. Trust your eyes, let your eyes have a feast as well. It's not all about the equipment. I'm guilty of it. I'm sure many of us are. We always think that you need to have the most expensive gear out there, the latest camera, the biggest lens to take good pictures. But that's not really true. There is a lot of skill involved, but equally there's a huge amount of luck. Make sure that you've mastered every aspect of your camera or your lens to the point that you're absolutely sure that it is the equipment holding you back from taking that beautiful picture and not your technique. So when you have a camera, make sure that you know how to switch your focus points. You're comfortable using your manual focus when needed. You know how to use the burst mode when you have to shoot a bird in flight. Another pro tip for photographers like me who wear glasses, right? Make sure that when your viewfinders, at least in Nikon cameras I've seen, you have this diopter setting. Make sure that you actually use it depending on how you use the camera, so that it will help you to focus. Now, I wear glasses when I shoot my photos, so I always tweak the settings so that the viewfinder view matches the power of my eyes. Some people prefer to take it off and they like to look through with their natural eye. Make sure that the diopter setting is then fixed so that it acts like a mini power glass, so that then it automatically adjusts to your eye's focal area, so jeep or canter. This is, again, my personal recommendation is, if you can afford it, try to take a jeep permit any day over a canter. There are two reasons for this. One is the canter will have a fixed route and it will only follow that, whereas the jeep gives you the flexibility to go off the path. Sometimes when you spot, let's say you're near the edge of a lake and you spot a big herd of elephants over there, the jeep can actually take you as safely close as possible, whereas the canter would be stuck right at the trackway that they have allowed for the canters to pass through. They cannot deviate from it. So that's reason number one. Reason number two, canters are very crowded and usually very noisy, and noise bothers most of the animals. So the more crowds there are, the louder the noise, the more likelihood that the animals will simply walk away. Whereas with jeeps, because it's a smaller group, animals are less likely to be intimidated and they'll continue to go about with their business. If you can afford it, the best thing is to book an entire jeep for yourself or your family, so that you know that the people with you are in the same frame of mind as you are. I've had bad experiences where I've had to share jeeps with people who were more bothered about clicking selfies and shooting their video reels rather than actually focusing on the safari themselves, and it's always a nuisance. So especially the people who like to do these things and they like to whistle and grab attention of the animals. They are not pets. You're in a forest, please respect the animal. Small things can make a big difference. So some of the most useful things for me during a forest safari over the years. One is, everyone knows that it's hot in the forest, so you should carry a water bottle. But I've really found that my ideal water bottle size is the 500 ml bottle. I don't like to carry the 1 liter bottles anymore. Simply because it adds to the weight, and the more weight you carry, I usually carry my camera bag to store my lens, my camera and my monopod. So the last thing I need is another heavy water bottle lugging around. So it's a personal preference, but definitely carry a water bottle if it's allowed. But make sure you don't discard it, right? Like don't dump it in the forest once you've drunk it. Please be responsible, keep it with yourself and dispose of it in a dustbin when you finish your safari. A cap is very useful. Trust me, there will be spots in the forest where there is no forest cover and the sun will hit you, and it will hit you hard. The third thing that I find very useful is this thing. Now, this is like a piece of cloth which is stretchable, so it can act like a hood. So where this is useful is that when you're in the forest and you're going through a sandy or a dusty area, there's a lot of dust that will kick up, or this usually happens when you're following another jeep and the jeep in front of you is going at a very high pace. It will kick up a cloud of dust. So this thing is very useful, and it makes you look gangster, if that's still in vogue. So once you've squeezed it around your neck, my dad tells me that this is what the actors in the 70s used to wear. So yeah, you can draw this up. Protects your nose from the dust, and then once the dust passes, you can just pull this down, and here adds to your forest look. So these were my 5 tips. I hope you find them useful for your next forest trip. I'm quite curious to know, so please in the comment section let me know which forest, jungle, safari you're planning to go next. Thank you for watching my video, and wherever you are, I hope you have a nice day ahead. Stay happy, stay healthy, and stay tuned. In the future, I'm planning to do a retrospective look and share some of my favorite images from my various safari trips over the years.